Hello. Apologies for what is likely a delayed midweek message. Turns out getting everything in place to worship in person is a heavier lift than I thought. Speaking of which, the Board of Deacons and Church Council at North Hills Community Baptist Church wanted to officially welcome you back to church. Hopefully, this is an invitation you've already received by phone, email, website, smoke signal, perhaps even via Pig Latin. The date to remember is June 13th. In fact, to prepare everyone for what will be a wonderful experience to return to in-person worship, we wanted to communicate some things you can expect to see. First, you won't see everyone masked at the worship service. We're not mandating masks. We do uphold the CDC's guidance in asking all unvaccinated individuals, please mask, not just for yourself, but for others' consideration. We will not have mandatory check-ins or questionnaires or temperature checks either. Originally that was in the plans, but the reality is it's up to every individual to police themselves and monitor whether they feel well that day or not. And whether or not they may have been exposed. And if that's the case, we ask that you please take a Sunday off, give it some time and come back if you aren't feeling well. You'll also see some signage, maybe some posted arrows about where to walk in order to minimize congestion. We recognize that airflow is a really big part of keeping everyone safe. So the windows will be open, the fans will be going, and Pastor Tim might have to talk a little louder as a result. You'll also see some ushers in the back of the church and in the area trying to help with those efforts, keeping you safe, making sure everyone leaves when the service is over, sits relatively socially distant from one another, and also, make sure that there's an opportunity to talk after service outside, out front of the church. But maybe not as much in the back like we're used to with the greeting before or after church. There will be other little differences, like in the order of service. Joys and concerns will probably be asked for at the beginning so that we don't have to pass things or take time to settle up that way. There won't be childcare, at least not initially. We'll make sure that the toddler and the nursery rooms are open, and so that if anyone needs to take their little ones out there, they can do so, but there won't be any attendance in those rooms, at least not initially. And that's a really good point to dwell on, is that some of these things will probably change in the coming weeks and months as we understand what works and what doesn't, and what makes sense and what we've learned isn't as important. I think if there's one thing that we can say about the last, 15, 16 months, is that our plans are just that, and that we need to be willing to adjust them for the betterment of not only ourselves, but everyone else. That's certainly something that I know every one of you have modeled to me, and that Jesus modeled to us. Lastly, and on that same point, everyone's going to be at a different place in terms of comfort back at church. Some won't feel ready to come back yet. And others, when they do, will prefer to wear a mask or to keep distance from one another. And I think it's important that we go back to church acknowledging that fact and understanding that maybe running up and giving someone a huge bear hug, while is something I certainly would like to do, might not be appropriate for someone else's comfort level. And so ask for consent in order to do that, or say, hey, would you mind if I give you a high five or something? I don't know. I know it might seem a little awkward, but ultimately it's a pound of prevention, or whatever the saying goes. I don't remember what the saying is. Someone help me out. Tell me what the saying is when I see you at church on June the 13th. We're excited to see everyone. We love you. We miss you. And let's get back to church. Bye.